Okay, it is officially time for this A to Z mini rework. My thoughts, ideas, changes, and so on and so forth. There we go. We are on Kayn, the Shadow Reaper. Okay, so his damage is definitely physical. His style, I don't agree. I would literally put this like definitely more in like the middle. In either form, he mixes his abilities so much. I honestly, in most cases, I'd probably say I use more abilities more than I do auto attacks. So yeah, and I don't agree with that one at all. Difficulty 2, yeah, I'd agree with this. Mobility 3, attack 3, I agree with both of this, but I would also give him toughness and crowd control 2 as well, just because of the possibility that he can do both. But I will say he is primarily mobility and attack damage. Okay, a peerless yeah, something lethal, a lethal shadowmatic. Shieda Kayn battles to achieve his true destiny. To one day lead the Order of Shadows into a new era of Ionian supremacy, he wields the sentient darkened weapon Rost. Undeterred by its creeping corruption of his body and mind, there are only two possible outcomes. Either Kayn bends the weapon to his will, or the malevolent blade consumes him completely, paving the way for the destruction of all Runeterra. He holds the destruction of all Runeterra if he just falls to the weapon. And yet every game that I play, well, unless I go Assassin, he falls to the weapon. Okay, the Darkened Scythe. At one point in the game, Kayn will permanently transform into either a Shadow Assassin or a Darken. That is so lackluster for what that ability is, considering how it doesn't even tell you that you need to auto attack, melee champions to go Darken and range champions to go Assassin and all this other stuff. But fine, whatever, fine. Reaping Slash. Kayn dashes, then slashes, both dealing damage. Why does it say so little information? Like, why does it not say that if he goes into Assassin form here, his first auto attack does increased damage? And if he's Rost form, then he just gains damage, Spell Vamp. Just automatically. And, like, Kayn dashes, then slashes, yeah. Okay, that's a great basic description, but it doesn't tell you that if you go Rost, it does more. His W blades reach Kayn damage and slows targets in a line. That's just. What about, if he's in Assassin form, then he places the thing and he's capable of continuing moving even after he uses it instead of standing still. And if he's in Rost form, then it knocks targets up. Shadow Step. Kayn can walk through terrain. I'll give you that, but yet again, like, he can walk through terrain even faster and gain slow resistance if he's in Assassin form. Then there's his alt, Umbral Trespass. Kayn hides in an enemy's body, dealing massive damage when he bursts out. I would really not describe that as massive damage when he comes out, but sure. And, that doesn't say that it does bonus health damage if he's in Rost form, and it has a higher range if he's in Assassin form. Like, why is there such a lack of information? Whatever. Okay, yeah, sure. So, very first thing that I would change is his darn information pool. Why is there nothing here? He's the darn Shadow Reaper. Each of his abilities should have, like, a paragraph. And I understand they're trying to keep this short and sweet, but they're literally describing him as if he doesn't even have a passive. Okay, whatever. Whatever, not my game. I wouldn't, tell people that are questioning if this is actually a good character or not any information about his kit at all, except for the very bare basic, and have no idea what to do once he actually utilizes his passive in any way, shape, or form. But, that's fine. That's fine. Whatever. Okay. Now let's get to his actual kit. Honestly, I'm completely fine with his passive. I really like the whole idea of being able to actually change. Usually when you get champions that are changing between two people, it's the ult. The ult allows you to change back and forth, and that you can see this with like Jace and Nidalee, and Elise, and so on and so forth. But for him, no, it's actually his passive, and this is kind of like similar to Gnar because that's another champion that I really like. Where doing something allows you to change, but this one is very permanent and very very different. And I actually really enjoy it. I like the whole idea behind it. I definitely think that it's kind of strong, and there are some times that I'm somewhat annoyed by it. So I'm not going to fully lie. I wish there was a capability of changing the option. um, Now I know this is going to sound kind of broken off the bat. It's like, oh, but what if he goes assassin form early game and then goes Ross late because they need the tank? Well, I agree. Like I agree that that'd be a problem, but at the same time, if he's going assassin form early game, then he probably won't be doing an insane amount of damage, or he'll still be hurting pretty bad because he's an assassin, but at the same time, he won't be doing as much damage because he'll be trying to build differently. And then, like, if he does build differently and then still decide to change forms, then he's going to be screwing himself over be- because now he has like two assassin items and two tank items when he's not going to be as tanky as he should be, and he's not going to be doing as much damage as he could be if he was still assassin. So I do still kind of wish that I could swap forms as a kind of like a just in case kind of scenario. Um now, I don't think it should just be something that's like super easy. I don't think it's like, oh, you can just change forms whenever you want. No, no, I'd do it be like you can only change to the other form like once. And that's it. Like you have 2 times in the entire game that you were capable of changing forms. The initial first time and 1 time afterward where you can change it to your opposite self. And even that you have to like buy with gold, or you like a specific like an item is added into the shop that you can buy and use, um and it will change your form to the other one type deal. And you can only buy it once, or just a certain point in the game, like a certain time frame, something like that. Just as an in case type of scenario, because I've never personally been in the situation where I've clicked the wrong one, but there has been many times where um I'm attacking a melee champion, but I want to be a assassin, but like only the ADC is the only one that I could hit to do that. But I'm not getting there because my bot lane's been pushed up the entire game. So I've had like both Rost and Blue Kayn open, and I've never clicked the wrong one, but there's been a lot of times where like I had the potential of clicking the wrong one, which could have like completely changed how my game went for the entire rest of the game. Um, so there is that. And not just that, but like his passive, like since it does change to keep a passive throughout the entire time, it is kind of stupid in Ross form how much health he gains back, but it's really not as insane as it used to be. And at the same time, I don't really think it's that bad. I think it can be kind of annoying, but still, like I would just main thing is just giving him another chance of changing forms. His Q, honestly, I think it's fine. I don't think it does too much damage. I think even if he is in Ross form, like because I'm very glad that they did make it so that each of his abilities don't change with his form, and that they only one, like his Q changes with his red form, and his like both his Q and his W change with his red form, but and then his W and E change with his assassin form. Because if they like increase the damage on assassin form with his Q2, that'd just be ridiculous. So I am glad that they didn't do that, and I think honestly that his Q is it's fine just the way it is. Now his W, I'm not fully against, but I don't like the changes that they made for either his assassin or his Ross form, because like when he's Rossed, I understand it is still a skill shot, but it's a wide skill shot that's it's reasonably quick, and it's kind of hard to dodge. And when it's a knock-up like that can literally hit your entire team, it can be very annoying and frustrating. Now I wouldn't really like change it, but at the same time, I don't fully agree with it. Same with when he's in assassin form, because when he uses his W and he's still capable of moving, and you get hit by it and you get slowed, it's just a recipe for disaster. But I do agree with it on both cases. I kind of want them to be tweaked, but at the same time, now now here's the ability that I actually genuinely think it's a problem, is the fact that he can his E just allows him to go through walls. And as I said earlier, I am glad that they didn't make it so that like Rost also gains some sort of added bonus from going into walls too. But like it says that Kayn can just walk through terrain, but he also heals. One, why in the world does he heal from going into walls? And two, just why? Why would you make a champion that can just walk through terrain? Like, he has so much mobility because he can literally go through anything, and not to mention the fact that like his Q is also a dash that can go like over small gaps of terrain. So like he already has a method of getting through terrain, but now he has another. So I'm not going to lie, it fits his kit really well. In assassin form, he can use his W wall in terrain. Um, I think he sort of can do that with his Ross form and his regular form too, but not nowhere near as efficiently. And he just goes so quick though in an assassin form. I do not agree with the capability of just going through terrain. I don't really fully agree with the Talon's ability with hopping over terrain either. I think like the terrain exists for a reason. I do kind of agree with being able to mess with terrain, but I don't agree with being able to go through it as if it's not even there. Especially like that, and it heals you. So first off, I would keep the heal. Honestly, it does help him a lot, and you'd be surprised how quickly he dies. Maybe I'd take the heal off if he goes in. Maybe I would do something like, or maybe along the lines of that, is that if you go a certain form, it weakens some ability but increases others. Such as if you go in assassin form and you use his Q, or like now that his E like allows him to have increased movement speed, but now his Q will have a problem of only the spin will do damage and the dash won't now. But then, like it'll have the opposite effect in Ross form where like he'll still be able to walk through terrain from his E, but he won't gain the heal from his E, and now he'll only be able to like gain the heal from his passive and like the increased damage, but he'll gain the increased damage with his Q. So I think that could be a potential good idea. Um, I don't really know what I would do to take the terrain his E off. If anything, I would just make it basically ghost, where I just give him an increase in movement speed, where if he goes in assassin form, then the initial second he uses it, he can enter in terrain, and if he goes in terrain, then he can continue to stay in the terrain until he leaves, which then he can't go back in. And if he goes into a Ross form, then it will gain him even more of an increase in movement speed. Or no, that would be a bit too much. But like if he goes into Ross form, then it will also like increase his attack speed or something like that, because Ross doesn't really focus on attack speed as much, so it won't be insane, but it will still help him out. Something like that, and then a bit just base Kayn would just increase his movement speed. The only problem I see with this though is that he'd be able to use it even without terrain. So something that like you think of his E, you read his E, and you think, wow, that's so broken. But at the same time, if you think about it, he basically only has two abilities if he isn't near terrain. Now, yes, there is a lot of terrain throughout the entire map, but think of like the amount of like space that you have between a lot of pieces of terrain. So it's just like if you're in any of the lanes, you need to walk across the entire lane before you can get to like the other side. Now, yeah, if you start doing that, it'll only take like a second or two, but a second or two in a league game, especially if you're in a fight, is a lifetime. um Like honestly though, like if that second or two could be the change of the entire game, if you could not make it to the next wall or something along that line. So like he really can't use his E in that type of situation. The jungle itself, yeah, it has a ridiculous amount of walls, but if you actually look at like the rivers have a large gaps in between the walls. And like that yet again, like it would take like 2 to 3 seconds to get across that entire river. And like that's just something that you're gonna have to do, that you won't be able to do anything with Kayn if you aren't capable of getting there. And like so yeah, and like even in base 2 is another area where it's like, wow, I need to move a long distance before I can go through a wall. Like yeah, you can go through your turrets and everything, but it's like it's a long distance that you need to go to just be able to use one of your abilities. So and then like, but if you take that away and you just make it his E itself, where he can just gain movement speed, then it's kind of like he can just use this anywhere in any situation, and bam, like he has now instant success. So I wouldn't necessarily, if anything, I would apply that change I was saying a moment ago, where if he becomes Assassin Kayn, his E will become better, like how it is currently, but his Q becomes slightly weaker. And if he becomes Ross, then his Q will become stronger, like it is right now, but then his E will become slightly weaker. I think that would be a really good trade off. And honestly, his alt, I have no problem with. Um, I don't. In Rost, like in Rost, you want to use it on tanks, but at the same time, you don't want to use it on tanks because it's like you're kind of wasting your all. Yeah, you're gonna heal more and you're gonna do more damage efficiently, but at the same time, you could be doing that damage to an AD carry. You could be doing like anything else, but no, you decided to use it on a tank, so it's still gonna hurt. Yeah, but it's still not gonna like be an insane amount of damage. But then his ult is a lot better in Kayn form, honestly, because you use that on an AD carry, it has a bigger range. It's just all around better, like honestly. And yeah, that is one kind of problem, but it's just I don't think that it needs to be fully changed. There's so many, like you can't use his ult while being CC'd or anything. So even if he does damage you, and if you CC him long enough to where he can't hit his R key, then he won't be able to go inside of anyone. He can still take damage while inside if you put a burn or something on him. And he can only go into someone if he hits them. Like that's a very big detail though. A lot of people don't realize, such as like he is a melee champion. Now yeah, he's pretty AoE with his Q and his E, but at the same time, like you can dodge his Q, you can well, you can't really dodge his Q because most of the time he's using it point blank, but you can dodge his W, and then like if you're not near a wall, then he can't use that. If you are near a wall, then you can walk away from it as he walks towards the wall. That way he can gain the very small amount of movement speed from going into it. Um, and then like he has to wait for his E or his W to come all the way back up. He can gain the distance with his Q, but at the same time, like his Q really isn't that huge of a distance, and the AoE on it really isn't huge either, to the point where it's like he like it's not as big as you really think, and there's a lot of times where you can force him to use his alt on a target that he was not planning to because he was about to die or something, or you can use his alt against him, that I have had happen to me, and had it happen to many others at the same time, where he ults someone and he is now bound to where you go. So let's say you flash under tower now, he is going to come out and he is going to be under tower, being targeted by the tower, and there is not a darn thing he can do about it except for when he comes out, maybe flashing out of the turret range. So now he doesn't get the kill, and he wasted his ult, plus he wasted his flash. Now, yeah, you didn't necessarily waste because you kind of saved yourself because of it, but you used your flash, and it's a flash for flash, but it's also ult for ult. And the alts aren't huge necessarily, but it can be the difference between like the next fight that you guys get into. So overall, I wouldn't really nerf Kayn in any serious way, to be completely honest. I don't find him broken. Every now and then he can be pretty annoying, but he's really not broken. And even though his E is very stupid. Um so yeah, he's just one of the few that I really wouldn't change much if at all. I don't like the fact that he can walk through terrain, but I think that it does fit his kit very well, and I don't know what you'd put in his kit otherwise to really like balance out any changes that you could make to his E. Except for I do kind of think that they should do the change that I was talking about though, where they um make it so that like if you level up if you go in one form of Kayn, the other abilities weakened, as I said, with like his Q and his E, like depending on whether you go Rost or Kayn and all. But I don't think that is a mandatory, this needs to happen type of change. I think it's just like let's make this change and see if he becomes unplayable, or see that it does help like outplay potential to an extent. But besides that, honestly, that's Kayn. Now, as I was saying earlier, though, but the best buff that I can actually give him would be updating his information. This is ridiculous. Why is there so little? Like his passive is so much more in depth than this. I can accept this though, but like his Q. I was expecting this to say something about his two different forms, but no. No, it gives a basic ass description. And then like his W and E are the exact same, and like all of his abilities completely change. Well, okay, not completely, but change pretty significantly based off of what ability he or what form he took with his passive. And yet it doesn't say any of that in his entire thing. Sure, Riot Games. Yeah, let's just not inform anyone of what Kayn does from his actual description. Then we have skins, which we are very, very low on. And that is Soul Hunter Kayn, which it's good, but it really ain't great, to be completely honest. And then his absolutely incredible skin of Odyssey. This skin is amazing. And this is a 10 out of 10 skin. His Soul Hunter is like a 5. Like, not trying to be mean or rude or anything, but it's a 5. And then you have this skin, which is just, oh, God, that's a 10. That's a 10.5. This skin just looks incredible in every way. His Ross form looks good. His basic form looks good. His Kayn form looks good, but not as good as the Ross form. It's just such a good skin. Oh, man, this is a great skin. And the entire Odyssey event was great too, and that really helped it like hype up even more. But yeah, absolutely great skin, 10 out of 10. Now I do have to say one quick thing, just something very tall. You see how you see how this is called Soul Hunter. Now why? Why would I bring up the fact that this skin specifically says Hunter? Why does that matter at all? Like, really though, why would I care that this skin specifically brings up Hunter? Because why does Rengar's skin go Headhunter, Night Hunter? Obviously, this isn't going to be Hunter. To Mecha and Pretty Kitty Rengar. Why? I did not realize it was called Pretty Kitty. I thought it was just going to be like Kitty Rengar or some. Oh. Why? Why does it go to Pretty Kitty Rengar and Mecha? Why is there not a Soul Hunter skin? Why does he even have skins that aren't hunters? I, for the longest time, thought, oh, the only reason, or I always gave like credit to Riot for not giving Rengar a skin, because like I always wanted a skin really badly for Rengar, but I always was like, I'll accept not having it though, because I understand that they're trying to make every skin a hunter skin. So when Kayn came out and I saw that his first skin was Soul Hunter, I was thinking, oh god, yes. They are going to make a Rengar Soul, or a Soul Hunter Rengar. And then I saw that they announced, another Rengar skin, and I was so happy. And then it became Mecha. And then I heard about this skin, and it's pretty kitty Rengar. I am sad. I am disappointed, Riot Games. I am sad and disappointed. But this was about Kayn, to be completely honest. And yeah, I love Kayn. I do. I think his abilities for the most part are pretty good. I think he's a bit stupid and all, and I think very minor changes to no changes at all, except for, the information should be made to Kayn. So, yeah. There you go. If you agree or disagree with anything that I said, please leave it down in a comment below. If you have any of your own ideas for Kayn or any of the champions that I've talked about or not, please, go ahead, leave it in a comment down below. I will gladly get to it and, I'm going to say judge it, I guess, or, put my own 2 cents on it to see if oh, man, this is actually really good. I love the idea you had, or not. Or it's I think it could improve here, 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 and here. Or, just whatever. Please put it down below. And I'm going to thank you all very much for watching this A to Z mini rework, my thoughts, ideas, changes, and so on and so forth. And I'm going to bid you all adieu. Goodbye.